We're really glad that you could make it. My name's Colin Brooks, and on behalf of the Phys Ed Summit team, welcome to the Phys Ed Summit 2.0 and the session iPads and PE. Now, with that being said, another technical difficulty is that we had was one of our members was unable to make it today, or one of our presenters unable to make it today because he's stuck in a sandstorm in Dubai. So what we're going to do now is we're just going to start. I'm going to hand it over here to our presenter, and we're going to go from there, and we're going to see how much time we have. If we have some extra time, we'd love for someone to jump in and share some of their fantastic ideas. So without going any further, can I go ahead and hand it over to our presenter? Go ahead, Matthew.
Cool. Thanks, Colin, for having me. I'm excited to be here today. One of the things, I don't know how much got out before, so I'm going to actually just kind of multitask and start screen sharing. Make sure that you have your mobile phones ready and that you use the QR codes, because I'm going to go ahead and go back just a little bit. So we've got some QR codes that are set up for our class. This is actually from Mihai. He wasn't able to be here, like Colin said, so we're just going to kind of present a little bit on what he does, and if you need to reach out to him, I would definitely try to reach out either through his blog or through the his Twitter handle. So QR codes in PE, he actually uses it with his students. He actually has the students do different kinds of assessments and different activities using the QR codes for class. So he also uses the coach's eye, and you can actually see the video here. I'm going to go ahead and just play it just a little bit so you can kind of see how he was using it.
What is the skill that you're demonstrating here?
Dribbling.
So Mihai is actually video recorded already, and he's actually talking with a student using coach's eye directly.
Special, because I'm dribbling inside squares back.
Inside the squares.
But I'm also, it's because I'm dribbling backwards.
Alright.
So this is a really cool way to add different assessments, and I really liked how he had a student over there watching the video and then he's recording. I think that that could be a really great formative and a great summative. And I'm wondering what the application for PE could be when I'm able to have a digital portfolio for students, because I see my students from kindergarten through 8th grade, if I could have information for them throughout all of the 9 years that I can see them. One of the things that I do is peer and video assessments. Normally I just would do peer assessments, but now I have the students videotape themselves, and they go ahead and get the feedback, and they can actually fill out an old paper and pencil feedback form. And then you can, if you need to, scan the QR code on the right, and you can kind of see these peer assessments a little bit closer. And I definitely can send you extra ones because I have them for quite a few grade levels and multiple activities. Coach's Eye is not the only video analysis app, so there's a bunch of video analysis apps out there. If there's one that you see up here that's not up here, go ahead and why don't you send it through today's Meet or Twitter, and we can kind of add it to the list of things. Dartfish Easy Tag is another one that they do. The student in the picture was unable to participate in PE, and they were able to use Dartfish Easy Tag to look for either behavior things that they were looking for, or also to look for cues for dribbling a basketball. So while they're watching, do they see the student using two hands? They'll hit a button. Do they see that their eyes are on the basketball? They'll hit another button. So Easy Tag is an easy way to kind of assess the students and see how often something is occurring in class for the activity. Superburst and Replay are apps where they can kind of put videos together, and it gives a chance to see them really quickly. Here's a video. We'll go ahead and show just a little bit of it to kind of see how Superburst and Replay works. So as you can see, it's a way to kind of video analyze the students and kind of put it together. a really good way to kind of show what you've done in class, and you can actually use it for parents. This would be a really cool thing to use for open house during class. Creating these videos, and then you can put a QR code up and a link to it online somewhere. Mihai also uses Class Dojo. I'm going to let him answer a lot of questions about it. I was using a different app and it just hasn't panned out, so I'll probably be using Class Dojo. But it allows you to give points for how people are doing based upon their work ethic, their behavior, the activities, and they can get some feedback on doing well. It's really good because you can emphasize the positives with the students instead of just constantly emphasizing negatives with bad behavior. Mihai also uses Just Dance and Zumba. This is a good iPad warm-up activity. I was just given some copies of the Just Dance videos that really worked out really well. If you want to, go ahead and scan the QR code and you can get linked to some of these things online already. Coach's note. This is also kind of like a coach's clipboard, and that you can diagram different things, whether you take a picture of your classroom that you can see on the left side, and then you can diagram and kind of let people know, well, this is what you're going to do in the green section, this is what you do in the orange section. When we're done, you're going to put everything back in the blue section. And then it also allows you to do a coach's clipboard like you can see on the right side, where you can diagram plays or drills or things for your students to be able to do. What's nice about it is you can pre-record it, I believe, and that you can go ahead and get that set up and show your kids, and it really cuts down on instructional time. Easy Portfolio is also something Mihai has been using, and it allows you to add different components in there. I think you can add video, images, audio, notes. I've been wondering about using this with my students to have a class-by-class portfolio. That way, at the end of the year, I have something to kind of pass on to the next teacher of what we've worked on. And then I can also incorporate letting each one of my students use the mobile device, namely my iPad, to be able to use it and put in video, put in images, and give them turns so that they all get a chance. One of the things that I've been doing is using the app called Skitch. It allows me to annotate pictures. It also allows me to draw on the screen, add keywords if I wanted to. You could use text or just draw. If you want to, go ahead and scan I have another one here coming up. Just recently I finished up my balancing on 1 to 5 body parts with my kindergarten students. And what I ended up doing is you'll see a picture of me, and I walked around with my students, and I literally just had them, what body parts can you balance on? And they were able to take Skitch and draw on top of the picture, and they could actually talk about the different body parts. So if you're interested, the screen recording QR code is up there right now. You can go ahead and kind of get an idea a little bit later if you want to scan it and then save it. And it'll allow you an opportunity to see what I did, and I just used a screen recording using QuickTime on my iPad, on my MacBook laptop. Comic Life. This has been something that was introduced to me, I'm pretty sure it was Kevin Tiller, through just in the last couple of months. It's a really good thing for checking for cognitive concepts through text and pictures. This QR code, I believe, is the link to the Comic Life app. But I've had some students who are unable to participate, and what I was able to do is within a couple of minutes just show them how to use Comic Life, and then I said, okay, I want you today to work on how to make a poster for volleyball forehand pass. And what they were able to do was to go in, and they were able to add pictures in. And I taught them how to use, I don't know if you've used burst mode, which is, it allows you to take a lot of pictures really quickly. And then they were able to add in components. I can use this as a formative assessment and kind of see if they kind of understand what the concepts have been going on during class, and then I can kind of go back to the class and use this. So it's a really cool way to keep my people who are sick or have been injured for whatever reason, and keep them involved in the class and keep them going. If you want to use the QR code on this screen, go ahead and scan it, and you'll actually be able to see a bigger version of the 2 Comic Life posters that I created during my volleyball unit here about a month ago. Another thing that I use for fitness assessments, this has been a bit of a game changer for me. There's one here called Run Lap Tap that allows you to track 12 different runners. You can load pictures of your students on there, so you can see on the screen it says Amy's lap. You can actually have Amy's picture in there, and then you can also put their names in there and change them up. You can have a list of quite a few students and just pick 12 random ones. And every time they run past you, if you're doing traditional laps, you hit the lap button and it'll keep track of their speed and their pacing. I do struggle with this one a little bit. It doesn't export the data quite like I like it. It comes out to an Excel sheet, which I would need to kind of send via email, which is sometimes a little bit harder and a little bit longer. But you can see some of the information that's coming back to them. What I really like to use is a different one called Multi-Stop. Multi-Stop, it only tracks 6 people, so it's a little bit, you're not going to have as many people to worry about. But I can export the laps and I can email them, or I can view them on the device, and I can also save them on the device and refer to them later. So when you're running out there, you basically start and you hit the green start button when everybody starts and do a mass start. When the student runs by your lap marker, you hit the lap button, which right now is showing up as the reset button, and then you can hit the stop button when you're done. Why I like it a lot is that when a student is done running, I get data from them. I've had a really hard time trying to teach pacing to my students. I used to use the tortoise and the hare as an example, and that really helped my students. But when I started actually measuring their times and saying, okay, we got Bob over here. He had a 6:56 run this week. His first lap was a 1:43, and the second lap was a 2:46. When the students are able to see the numbers of where they're running, it makes more sense to them. So I could talk to Bob when he's done. Bob, you did a really good first lap, but it kind of looks like you went a little fast because the second lap was over a minute slower. So what I want you to do in your next run, let's aim for you going for maybe a 2:20 first lap, and then the second lap I want you to repeat that 2:20 so that you keep the same pace. So slow yourself down at the beginning for the effect of we're going to try to do better than that 6:56 at the end. You can kind of see also, like Laura showed the same thing. It looked like this student ran really fast in the first lap in the 2:15, and the 4:15 tells me that they were spending a lot of time walking. Then if you look over to Pa over here, I've got a 1:30 first lap and a 1:31. That shows me a lot of good consistency in their running speed for the first to second lap. Looks like that they got a little tired for the third lap. So it gives me a lot of information, and what I'll do is I'll have 6 people this time, and then the next class I'll do 6 different people. The next time I'll do 6 different people. I can also set up multiple devices, and I've had as many as 4 people at one time tracking everybody in class because I had 3 or 4 people who all got sick at the same time and weren't able to participate. What do I do with the students? I have some students in running. This really isn't an assessment, but what do I do with the information from the multi-stop? I have some students that really struggle with their running, and they will, in a run, jog for about 20 to 30 seconds, and then that'll be it. So I've started using a program called X-Timer, and I actually have loaded it onto my old iPod Touch. On my iPod Touch, I've set up basically running splits. It'll tell me 45 seconds, you're going to jog. And then it'll give them 20 seconds to walk, 45-20, 45-20, 45-20. I can actually adjust the intervals to whatever I want it to do. What is really helpful is that it's helped me to get through to those handful of students who don't like to push themselves beyond walking and getting them to do at least a little bit more. And then when I can show them that their times are starting to come down, it can help me motivate them to do a little bit more in running and preparing for their fitnessgram tests and the runs. The next app I'd like to talk about is a really easy one, and I kind of took this idea, I believe it was from Terry Drain, making the cognitive connections. I used the Whiteboard LTE app, and I basically will set up and draw quadrants on the app and basically ask the student, can you draw the 4 steps to a throw? So if you're looking at it, we got the T section. This is what I stole from Terry, by the way. The L, the step, and then I can't draw very well, so I have the follow-through section, which is called the Tickle Section. And it'll allow me to kind of go through, and I can just hand the students an iPad, let them draw it out for me, and they can kind of just show me, do they have an understanding of what's going on? You know, and I could also probably write their name on the side and then do a screenshot of it if I wanted to, and then start over and go to the next student. If you had multiple iPads, I think you could end up having just kind of a cognitive connection where you have groups of people and that they're working on it. Just make sure that you work on who is responsible for holding the iPad and that everybody gets a chance to use it at some point so that it's not just the same 4 or 5 kids. Another cognitive connection that I started using earlier this year was Edmodo. It's a really interesting, it's kind of like a Facebook environment for students and teachers. It's an online, you can add in assignments, give students worksheets and things online. You can create polls, you can create quizzes online, you can post links or folders and information inside of them, and you can send messages to whole classes or to students in particular. It's been a really interesting environment where I can actually share information, and if I was out in class and somebody needed a worksheet, I could probably actually just connect right there and let them get the information. This is actually an example of an assessment I did, and I'm going to show you the second part to this in a little while. What do you see going wrong in the push-up video? So I'm going to show you the push-up video in a little bit, but the students were able to watch the video, and then they were able to go online and use Edmodo to actually answer the question. And I was able to do a formative assessment and making sure that they understood about FitnessGram information and what is expected from the push-up. Now, with Edmodo, we can kind of move on, and Google has their own version of that with Google Classroom. And there's some other people out there that could probably present on this a lot better than I can. But we have your basic Google form here that I've started, and what you can do is the same thing. You can use a QR code with your students, show them the QR code, let them scan it, and then they can go ahead and start filling in a quiz that you find online. Google Classroom will allow you to also do the same thing where you can link the Google form, and then the information will go into a spreadsheet format for you to review. You can also set up certain types of quizzes where they can be automatically graded. There are people out there that can do some amazing things with Google Forms, and I would definitely try to seek them out. Kevin Tiller has a link on his website, the Phys Ed Review, that has a bunch of different ideas for how to incorporate Google Forms into your classroom. I believe this is kindergarten or maybe a first grade, and you can actually put pictures into the Google Forms now. So he used, I'm going to assume this was Comic Life, where he asked the students what picture shows a straight pathway, A, B, or C. And so the students are just going to answer. And this is really good for kindergartners because they can see a visual and they can understand. And then you can get feedback. Do they understand what a straight pathway is today? And then you can have questions that follow up about a curved and a zigzag pathway. So if you'd like some more information on there, the QR code in the lower right-hand corner, it will go straight to the Phys Ed Review assessment page. One of the things that I want to point out is Kevin has asked not to actually use the form to input data because he's using it for his students. So go ahead and look and get some great ideas because he's got like about, I don't know, 5 to 10 or so. Just learn more information about it and kind of get the ideas, and you can probably build your own. You could also possibly ask questions of different people online, and they can help you as well. I found just a little while ago, I think Matt Pomeroy is actually giving a session right now. He had some Google tools for the 4 C's. It was a presentation that he put online just a little while ago. I would definitely scan that QR code and save it for later because he goes into way more depth than I have time for today. Also, I know that there's a GAF presentation going on at the Phys Ed Summit right now, so I'd definitely try to look up that a little bit later and to incorporate how you can use Google Apps for education on your iPads, especially for those that have one-to-one iPads or multiple iPads per class that you can come out. Now, a new thing that I have just learned about in the last few weeks with my professional learning community are called Plickers. I kind of resented trying to get into these until this week, and I just decided because of the Phys Ed Summit that I was going to give it a try just so I could report on them. On the screen, you see 2 different Plicker cards. These cards are, in essence, like a version of a QR code. Each one is unique. It's a quick way to scan for assessments. So I use my cell phone. I go ahead and type out a question, and this week I pretty much did self-assessments with my students just to kind of get a background in how it was working. And the Plicker cards, if you look at them, the red circles demonstrate the number. So each student gets their own Plicker card. And I believe that on their website you can print out either 40 different cards in one set, or they have one for 63. And then you see the green circles. If you're really carefully looking, you can see that there is a letter, A, B, C, or D. So if I wanted to answer my multiple choice question, with the B answer, I face the B letter that's at the top of the screen up towards the sky. And I hold it up there, and then I actually will use as the teacher my cell phone, and I will scan all of the cards in my class. And the Plickers will actually register in the app what the answer is. For my class, I haven't put their names in yet, and I'm only using the demo version, but what you can do is actually type in the names, so you'll know what little Johnny and little Sally actually answered for each individual question. And you can refer back to the information later.
Matthew,
Sure.
real quick. So what was your overall impression of Picklers? It's like a really hot thing that a lot of physical educators are doing. Is this something that you would see is really easy for other physical educators to implement?
Yeah, I was a little hesitant in trying to give it a try this week. I've experienced a little bit of difficulty in getting the cards to scan 100% of the time, but I do know that lighting plays a factor. And I was using a multi-purpose room that was causing maybe some issues. So I want to really try to give this a try outside. But so far, I've really been impressed. I've gotten better at scanning the cards. Kevin Tiller actually tweeted out to me and told me, basically stand in a circle in the middle and have the students about 10 feet away, and that worked really well yesterday. I went from 2 to 3 minutes of scanning cards down to under a minute. So I think it's a really cool opportunity. You just have to make sure that you plan your questions a little bit beforehand and be ready for them. And your questions can be divided by classes. So if you have 10 classes like I do, you can have questions for each of your classes already set up and ready to scan. And one of the things that I did to help was I also put a date on them, because my questions this week were just self-assess how you feel you're doing in your square dancing unit as a group. I actually started dating 4th grade for B day, because I have an A-B schedule, late, because I would do it twice. So this was the later class 1 self-assessment. So if you wanted to see what the Plickers look like, here's a Plicker that I was just holding up for the screen. You've got your A answer on the left, B, C, and D. It's the same card. You just rotate it to give your answers. And then how does it scan? Here's a very quick video that I made this week that shows how they scan, so you can get an idea of how it works. So you're going to hit the camera button at the bottom. I have my question already lined up. And now I'm going to literally just go to scan the class. And that little orange box that shows up is showing the Plicker that it's registering on the scanner. You have to move it around and play with it a little bit, but that circle trick really worked a lot, and 10 feet away seemed to be the key. And so when you're ready to move on, you just hit the check mark that's here at the bottom of your screen, and you can see what's going on. Up at the top, you can actually see some of the information and the numbers and the letters that are coming up, and you can get a little bar graph here of who's answering what as you're going on. But when you're finished, on your phone on the left side, you can actually see the breakdown of what has been answered, and then online you can also get the information, and you can see the breakdown online. Here are 2 different questions I had for my students on one of the days. So this is a really interesting assessment tool that we can use, and I'll be honest, I'm a little more impressed with it, with using it this week, and we'll be exploring it further, not just beyond my 4th graders, but into new classes. I'm going to eventually get to kindergarten and see how that works. Another thing to do, Coach Perillo online, he has a really great video on how to set up a Plicker account, how to create classes. I would definitely scan that QR code and go straight to him. Had I realized he had done all of the work beforehand, I probably just would have put that video in. But he's done a lot of amazing things in class, and his YouTube channel is really cool. But there is a video directly about how he uses Plickers in his classes and how to set it up from the beginning. So downloading the app, how to log in, how to set up your classes, how to add students, etc., etc. All right, so another thing that I was thinking about is how to do teacher-created assessments. I'm really big into the trying to add new movies and videos. So using iMovie or Pinnacle Studio, if you want to go a little step further, how about you use Explain Everything, Edu Creations, and Show Me. In these videos, you can actually ask the students to identify the steps in the video, what do you see, or you can actually see them analyze videos for movement errors. So let's show you a little bit and an idea. This is a video I created in my office one day, and I literally just wanted to see if the students, I use this with Edmodo, I wanted to see if the students could pick up what I was doing wrong in this video. So I had the students actually watch this during class, and then they answered in Edmodo. Because I have a lot of students when they're doing their own push-up test, and even though I talk to them a lot, sometimes they don't make that connection. What's going on here? What's wrong with this picture? If you want to see that video a little bit more, you can go ahead and use the QR code. But that was a really cool thing. I was able to assess, and I was able to figure out that the students, for the most part, were able to figure out, oh, elbows and back alignment, those were both really not great. And then I was able to talk to the people that didn't pick it up and start to demonstrate again with them. So not only did I get information, but I could reteach for the students that had a problem. Now, this is a square dance assessment I created for my 8th graders. They're supposed to be able to identify a square dance step. So I actually used this video, I chopped it up. These are the traveling hoedowners. I was using this as a visual to show you how the square dance steps work, but I created an assessment out of it. So I'm going to go ahead and show you. They had a test and they had to write down the answers. So step 1, what was this square dance step? And then I did it a second time in slow motion because some of them get a little tricky. And then the third one was in regular speed. And then what was step 2? Okay, what is this square dance step? So I created this in iMovie. You could do the same thing with Pinnacle Studio. Explain Everything allows you to utilize video. And then Edu Creations and Show Me. I don't think you can use video, but you can do picture and text and talk over it. So this was a really cool way, and I was able to figure out with my students, did they understand how to identify the different square dance steps just by sight, not even by hearing the names of them on there. And last year, when our students got our first set of one-to-one math for them, so I wanted them to create an idea of creating a video assessment that connects the cognitive aspect of an activity. And ideas for that are for steps to completing a task. You can do a video. I did one this year for compare and contrast 2 videos to each other of the students, kind of a pre and post. And also you can do a video assessment of a movement analysis. What do you see wrong with this picture? So I had quite a few videos last year that I had a lot of fun watching. This was one of my favorite on students, and I see I labeled it wrong. It's actually volleyball, but I want you to go ahead and get a look, and you can get an idea of something that one of my students created in class.
Sixth grade physical education class, and today we'll be discussing volleyball. The ball went a little too high. Here's a replay. I should make the ball go forward, not upward. You should always use your forearm when you're hitting a volleyball. In case you didn't know, this is your forearm. This is the position you should be in while you're hitting the volleyball. Remember to always use that position.
So I took that video and I edited a little bit out just for my students' privacy. But it's really cool. I ended up with all these videos that show cognitive connections to the subject matter that we were teaching. So I did that last year for volleyball and for paddle tennis. I did it again this year for paddle tennis, and I've also done it for a dancing unit last year as well with those same students. If you'd like some of the rubrics that I've put up for the videos, go ahead and scan the QR code. It'll take you, I think it's to my Dropbox account, and then it'll give you an idea of some of the things that I looked for. This year, one of the things that they asked us and students to do is to really work on comparing and contrasting, a little higher level thinking. And so I had a video that I had them do where they compared and contrast 2 videos. What do you see in the first video? What do you see in the second video? What's the same? What's different? And that was a really cool thing to watch and to see my students be able to respond to. So I guess this is the time where we ask if there's any questions or comments out there. Before I do that, I'm going to go ahead and give you contact information. Definitely would try to give a shout out to Mihai. He's got a lot of great things to add to this that we, unfortunately, I've not done justice for his parts. But go ahead and you've got his blog, his Twitter, his email. Also, you've got my email there for my work, and then also my Twitter account. If you want to scan the QR codes, it'll actually hopefully get you right to them without having to type them in. So that's the information for us to contact us. And we have a couple little resources that we've also added in here. So I'm going to go ahead and stop screen sharing here, get back to the Google Hangout.
Hey, thanks so much, Matthew. Excellent job. And we overcame a lot this morning, or you did. I just was along for the ride, man. So fantastic job. Hey, I'm going to see what questions there are, and I might have a special guest here
Cool.
in the meantime. So
I'll listen to the special guest and go on to the today's meet and kind of answer what I can.
yeah. So let's see, first of all, if we have any questions. So let's see. We just have a ton of comments. We have a ton of activity going on today's meet, which is fantastic. It was great that you guys, everyone was a part of the Hangout. We really appreciate it. And yeah, I mean, tons of great information for us. So I really appreciate it, Matt.
Thanks for having me. I'm not sure I did justice to assessments and PE with iPads, but I hopefully made a little bit of a dent on there.
Yeah, well, I have just invited in Ben Perillo. So Ben, if you're watching, come on in. And he's been watching, and he has some stuff about picklers, as you know, that we've been doing. So if you're around, Ben, you can hop on in. So yeah, and if anyone else has anything, we've got just a few minutes here that you'd like to hop in and chat about. That would be fantastic to have you as part of the conversation. So tell me this, how long have you been one-to-one, Matt, at your school?
My students, my 6th graders were one-to-one last year, and I looped with that group this year, and I'm teaching all of 7th grade. Next year, our 8th graders will be one-to-one as well. So we're just kind of doing a year-to-year rollout. And then our iPad rollout started just recently, and I can't remember, grade levels are different. I think our younger kids are 1 to 3 or 1 to 4, and then our 4th and 5th graders are going to go 1 to 2. But I'm really excited because I think I'm going to start stealing the classroom teachers' iPads and taking them out with me, and then getting them back to them at the end of the day. So.
Yeah, you know, I mean, it's becoming more and more prevalent to have one-to-one iPads. So it's definitely, you know, a pretty sweet thing. So I know, because I'm really looking forward to do that as well next year. So yeah, we'll see if Ben here can drop in. Anyone else on today's meet or Twitter have any more questions for Matthew while we wait? All right. Well, Ben may or may not be around. That's okay. So I think what we'll do is we'll just go ahead and wrap it up. Just on behalf of the Phys Ed Summit, I just want to personally thank Matthew for joining us today. And as far as Mihai, I'm sorry you got stuck in a sandstorm, buddy. And we'll catch you next time for sure. And something that I forgot in kind of the scramble of things is just to thank Spark Programs for their generosity in donating raffle prizes for the Phys Ed Summit. So speaking of Spark, in just about 3 minutes, they're doing a brain booster, a brain energizer. Just look at the resource guide or the schedule of events coming up for the Phys Ed Summit to kind of help you out with that. So yeah, I hope everyone else has a really good rest of your summit. Pay attention to those roundtables coming up, and we have for session 2, and we also have a great adaptive physical education session coming up. So, Matthew, thanks again.
Thanks for having me.
You bet. Take care, everyone.